It was this agency, the SEC, that was warned about Madoff time and time again by the man who would eventually become known as the Madoff whistleblower. But each time, those reports were either ignored or dismissed. Simply put, they fell through the cracks.
We took the lessons of Madoff to heart to a very great degree. It informed and guided us in what has been termed to be the largest reorganization and restructuring of the Enforcement Division, perhaps since its inception, through the creation of specialized units, flattening management, new cooperation tools, better communications, not just, frankly, in the Enforcement Division, but under Chairman Shapiro throughout the entire agency. Much of what we've done comes from mistakes that we've learned from the past, and I think that's the best way we can respond to what occurred.
I've heard that, and I've read that people don't really mention Madoff's name here much. They call it the incident. Is that true?
I've never heard that. People talk about Madoff in the same way they do, other cases.
Other cases. So what can you say to people now that argue, well, what has really changed at the SEC? What if there's another Madoff out there that we just don't know about yet? What are you doing differently?
I think we're doing a lot differently. There's much better communications, both across divisions under the chairman, as well as within the Division of Enforcement, between the Division of Enforcement and the Inspection Service, better communication. There is additional hiring and training of folks with specific expertises.
Folks from Wall Street?
Folks on Wall Street, folks from all sorts of walks of life that we're bringing in order to help us better do our job.
You've testified about this. You've spoken about this publicly. There's a hedge fund working group here now looking at hedge funds. Their volume is massive. The amount of money that they deal with, it's more of a concern to the SEC now than ever, right?
I think that's correct. We see characteristics of hedge fund activity that cause us concern, and we're taking a close look.
What are some of those characteristics?
They have to do with
less public?
Yeah, they're not as transparent. Trading used to be routed all through regulated broker-dealers, but now a lot of trading occurs away from that. You have high-frequency trading and a lot of high-technology tools used to trade. You have fee structures. You have potential conflicts of interest. You have cross-market trading, not just in equities, but across debt markets and derivatives markets, which are, the latter two of which are not as transparent.
Right.
So a lot of activity. I don't mean to suggest that we think that the majority of hedge funds are operating improperly, but that the kind of activity they're engaged in are ones that cause us concern simply because they're not as transparent as one would like. But here you see folks looking at Bloomberg information with respect to trading activity, and obviously that's a big component of investigating trading-related violations. We want to see how the market's reacting. In an insider trading case, for example, you'd want to see whether or not there was a spike in certain volumes that's aberrational prior to an announcement of a merger or an acquisition or some other financial transaction.
Can the Enforcement Division ensure the American public that there will not be another fraud on the scale of Madoff, $65 billion?
No one can make that assurance, but I can tell the American public that they have the attention and the dedication of every single member of not only the Enforcement Division and the entire Commission is refocused and re-energized to make sure that that doesn't happen again.